Workspaces inside of Adobe Premiere give you a ton of flexibility in terms of the types of layouts that you can have working on the different types of jobs that you have within your edits. There's stuff for working with audio, color, text-based editing, graphics, and so many more. But did you know that you can also have your own custom workspace for whatever your workflow needs? Oh yes, ladies and germs, today we are talking about all things workspace and how you can customize your own layout. Let's get into it. Internet, welcome back. It's Robert Teegarden here. Again, today we are talking about workspaces inside Premiere. If you're new here, welcome. I post content on a weekly basis on filmmaking tips and the business of being a creative. Without further ado, let's jump into Premiere and talk about all things workspaces. If you go up to a bunch of different spots, well, really just two different spots into Premiere, the window number one, you can go into Workspace. You see all of these different workspaces that you can utilize that are different types of window layouts for you to do different types of things. So if we go into editing, you'll see that things will change around the sizing of different windows between your source window, your program window, your timeline, and your bins. All of that stuff will change. If I go down to Workspaces, I can go to an audio layout. It will give me specific tools that are unique to audio. I can put in a bunch of different plugins on the track level up here. Done a video about that. I can utilize the Essential Sounds panel right here in the audio window. I can even go into a coloring tab. It'll give me a bunch of different things like my Lumetri scopes, and I use Magic Bullet's Colorista to be able to utilize my coloring inside of Premiere Pro instead of having to go out and do a different program. I use Essentials a ton. And then you can also look over here at the top right-hand side, and I can kind of move around this top little bar that's going to give me a bunch of different preset workspaces that I use on a regular basis. And I can kind of expand or kind of collapse this little area right here. This is really helpful. And this is where I usually go to flip my workspaces back and forth, is in this particular upper window, since I don't have to click on anything else. You can also assign hotkeys and or utilize some of the hotkeys that they have set up for you here. You can see all panels and things like that on this little side. Will give you an ability to do that from an option shift and a number perspective. Again, you guys know I love quick keys or hotkeys, something that we could utilize there as well. Another thing that you can see is down here, if I click on this little box, Workspaces box over here, it'll give me the ability to flip back and forth for things that I have hidden. I don't tend to want a bunch of unused real estate or cluttered real estate in my editing. So I'll kind of hide a bunch of stuff that I know I don't use often. But this text-based editing workspace is huge. Did a video about text editing a couple months back. That's really great. Utilizing transcription to be able to cut your rough cuts together has been a huge time saver. Captions is another one, all of these sorts of things. But again, now that I've talked about all the different pre-made workspaces that Premiere has, I tend to want things in a different space than what they give me. And so what I do is create my own custom workspace. So you see this RMT workspace. What I have here is just a collapsed version of the source window, the program window, and the timeline. And really the biggest difference is that my project window, my project panel, is fully vertical on the side of my screen, so that when I open up footage bins, I can see the footage on this particular side easily. It's something that I can kind of scroll through and scrub through. Now, I've had situations where I have a separate window or a separate monitor. You can also use a Sidecar situation. If you're a Mac user and you have an iPad that's compatible, you can just kind of fling stuff over to your different monitor, and that works really well. And if I wanted to do something like that, I can, in an ad hoc basis, just grab this particular bin. And you'll see as I start moving things around, different colors happen when I move things in different spaces within the particular window, right? And so if I wanted to live in this space, that purpley color that's kind of, there's an opacity shift on it, allows me to know that I'm moving that particular bin to this particular window. And then if I want to fling it over and just have that whole bin take up some real estate, that green bar is the way that I can do that. Right? Now, as you can see, it really just killed my entire project panel. That's gone. but I have the ability to resize things if I want to and go into the project. And this could be a layout, right? I don't really think it's a super effective one, but it could be a layout. And if I wanted to save this layout, I would go up to that little Workspace tab. I can go down to save as a new workspace. I would type in this particular workspace here and save it. And there I have my own custom workspace. And if I wanted to grab it and put it on my little panel over here, I click on that Workspaces button again, go to Edit Workspaces. It brings up this Edit Workspace button or dialog box, and I can start to shift things around. And once I do that, you'll see that it'll kind of move itself around on the top panel. I don't love that, so I'm gonna go and put it back just because that's my little OCD that's happening here. And then let's say when I go back to my Teegarden workspace, and I move some stuff around and I have this whole thing and I'm like, wait a minute, that's not what I want. I want it to go back to what it was before, because sometimes I'll move things around and I need to make a change to it. Reset to save layout. Boom, I click it and it goes back to where things were from before. Another thing I do with Workspaces quite often is what's called a Pancake edit. And this is if I'm looking at two different versions of something, or I have a selects timeline on the top that I'm trying to drag different cuts into, whether that's B-roll or A-roll, into my main editing timeline. A fun tip that you can use here is grabbing my sequence and then putting it down on the bottom, and boom, I have two timelines on top of each other. It looks like a stack of pancakes, hence the term pancake edit. Now, I can't think of a better breakfast food other than pancakes. So whenever I see this type of layout, it warms my little fat boy heart. But if I'm being honest, I don't really use it all that much, especially in these types of situations. So let's set it back so I can easily just flip that thing back, put it on the top, boom, it's there. Like I said, a lot of flexibility, especially where those workspaces are concerned. So go silly customizing your workspace. Go willy-nilly for all I care. And while you're at it, give me a comment on exactly what you're doing and the types of layouts that you put in Premiere. How are you utilizing them? I'm very curious in terms of how you people are doing those sorts of things and soaking up game, as the young people say on the internet. With that in mind, ladies and germs, that is another video in the can. If you like this video, like the damn video. If you haven't already, hit subscribe, ring that bell for posting notifications. I'll see you guys in the next video. Thanks for staying tuned to this one. Staying tuned. All right, I'm out of here. See you next week. Peace.